things like injury doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Broken
I'll do
ankle,
what I want.
it doesn't matter.
I'll do what I want.
I might have broken my foot. Doesn't matter.
My foot hurts so bad.
I love him. He's so nice.
So funny.
This is gonna make me giggle.
Recording right now.
Oh, is he?
Dr. G, thank you.
Dr. Cat, we appreciate you in working with us.
I feel so cool.
Thank you so much. We were chosen for
Just
this.
ASMR.
It's so squishy. Oh.
Yeah, whatever you said about it. So today you just got done riding. So if you stood up and took your picture, you see you got riding gear on. Mm-hmm. The life of an equestrian team member.
Yes.
So our MSU equestrian team is first thing I want to talk about is we've got so many different ideas about membership. Mm-hmm. And some teams people may not know this, but there's basically two kinds of teams. We have an IHSA team, which is Intercollegiate Horse Show Association.
Yes.
And then some schools have NCAA or NCEA. Mm-hmm. Some schools got both, but we're an IHSA team. And what I really want to know about is just kind of what it's like to be doing both schoolwork as a student and trying to make this whole horse thing work. Because it's difficult, right?
It's a big balance.
It's a big balance when you're trying to make good grades and do all that. Mm-hmm. So just quickly, give us an idea of why you did the equestrian team, why you ride horses and try to go to school when it could be much easier, like some of your peers are watching movies and going to class occasionally and have a really good social life.
We don't have a lot of that.
Do you want me to go first?
You go first.
So when I was growing up, I started riding horses like at a super young age. My uncle was really into horses. My cousin, she was on the D1 Texas A&M team for reining.
Who's that?
Laura Summerall.
Okay, I know who she is.
Yep. So she kind of got me into it when I was just a little kid. And then I grew up leasing a pony, and I got my first horse when I was 14. And we didn't have like a whole lot of money to go horse show, so I started working from a really young age, and I spent every minute I could at the barn. So for me to go to college, it was more like college has to work in with the horses, not so much as I'm going to work horses in with college. So it was kind of a no-brainer to try and join the equestrian team when I came up here, because I didn't want to lose any time in the saddle. So that's why I decided to join. And I still go home and ride, especially freshman year. I would go during the week, go home, ride for a day, come back, do class, and then go home on the weekends, ride for the weekends, come back, do class, and just kept doing the cycle over and over again. And it's kind of tapered down a little bit, but I still go home as much as I can. So
I still remember I think my first semester at college, so I was 17, 18, and I come from a horse show background. And there wasn't anything back then that I'm aware of. There was no IHSA back in mid-90s, Mm-hmm. So I'm still trying to show horses on the side. I want to do that. That's what I grew up doing. And I remember my advisor, my first semester at college, told me I was going to have to put that horse show thing on hold. And I still remember that 30 years later, I thought, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. That was kind of devastating to hear. I was going to have to quit doing that. If you're a horse show kid or like showing horses, you want to show horses.
Yeah.
So this is a good outlet, I guess, to be able to fit the bill on both.
Yes.
What about you, Pam?
Kind of the same thing. Although I had no one in my family that rode horses, it was very random. I begged my family forever, like, can I please, can I go pet the horses? Can I do horse camps? And then finally my parents were like, oh, okay, I'll start letting her do the little things. And I became obsessed with it. But I wasn't just I showed up, I rode, I left. I wanted to be there all day. I wanted to help my trainers. I wanted to learn how to tack up the horse. I wanted to brush them off. So it was more of I just loved everything that the barn had to offer. And so I went through high school, and my junior year, I knew that I have worked so hard to where I was that I didn't want to end after I graduated. So I knew that I couldn't go D1 because I showed a lot of local shows, so I couldn't I didn't have the credits that I needed to ride D1, but I did some research. I did the camp at Mississippi State, and I loved Coach Hannah. I loved Coach Justin. So that kind of became my goal. I was like, I would love the opportunity to do this, because what I've found with doing IHSA is it is a lot of work, but because you don't have to practice every single day and work out every single day, it's nice to have the time in the saddle 2 days a week in shows, and then 2 days a week you're out loving on the horses. So it does fit within your schedule if you're willing to make it work. But I also do Greek life. So it's like you do kind of have to pick which is more important. And I definitely feel like I poured more time into IHSA than I have in Greek life, because it still takes a lot of time. And I honestly feel like it's more impressive, because I was talking about it with Coach Hannah, because I got a little emotional about the horse I drew and I did something wrong, and she was like, we can kind of shrug our, pat ourselves on the back a little bit, because we don't get a warm-up. We don't get like 2 minutes on the horse both directions. We don't get a practice fence. Like, we get on a horse and we go in the ring and we ride. So I kind of liked being tested in that way, and I knew that it's different than what I did in Hunters, but just being in the saddle and kind of proving myself that what I've learned in the past and like still being able to practice that now was something that I wanted to do.
And that's something I'm glad you brought that up, because I take that for granted sometimes, because you guys compared. I've judged more, so I don't know, 10, 12 years into judging collegiately. I've judged NCAA championship, the national championship, SEC championship, Big 12 championship. I've gotten to judge them all, but I've only judged 2 IHSA shows, one of which was just like 2 weeks ago. I haven't got to see that side of it. Yeah. The NCAA side is so easy, and I'm gonna have a podcast in the future with some NCAA side. Mm-hmm. But what people don't realize is that they get, I think they get a 2-minute warm up, and then they swap, and mm-hmm. the other people get a 2-minute warm up, mm-hmm. and you guys jump on and go.
Yeah.
And so I was in Murray a couple weeks ago, Murray, Kentucky, judging for them, and you guys are not judging horse to horse. You kind of get the luck of the draw.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So here you are, a kid that your group has the same kind of skill set, or supposed to, mm-hmm. but you're getting on horses that are a varying skill set.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And you have zero time to figure it out. You just walk in the pen and you're figuring it out as the pattern on the class goes. You're kind of figuring this out.
Yes.
That could be problematic.
Yes. Well, and I think that's what's so special about it is, it's not just how well can you ride this horse. It's how well can you ride horses? How well can you get on something that doesn't go when you tell it to go, or something that won't stop when you tell it to stop? Like, how can you work around those kind of things? And I think that makes you a better rider. Mm-hmm. And I know for sure, like, coming here, I've always grown up like riding other people's horses, and especially because my horse got hurt when I was younger. And so, like, I've used to, like, riding other horses and kind of having to learn them, but it's completely different to come and ride some of the ones, like, people put lots of different kinds of horses into IHSA shows. You have really green horses, you have kind of quirky horses, like, these are the horses that, people donated, and sometimes, they donate them for a reason. Not necessarily like a bad reason, but, like, for instance, sometimes
like, I just want to get rid of
like,
it.
I know, one time I drew a horse who was super, like, hot and had his head always up in the air. And, like, if I draw that horse, I have to try to ride to my best of my ability. But say, like, me and Pam are in the same class, and Pam draws, like, the 28-year-old schoolmaster, it kind of shows you have to be able to, I think the judges have to be able to look past that and kind of see who can ride to the best of their ability. And
this presents a challenge, because as the judge, I'm looking at a different perspective. Mm-hmm. You get this dead broke little gelding going around and mm-hmm. not causing a problem, and you can prop up and sit pretty. Yeah. Versus 3-year-old that's not broke, and you're fighting the whole time to cover up a bunch of problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a judgment, obviously, I'm trying to find. I try not to get fooled by that picture. Mm-hmm. I try to find, hey, this is a problem, and this kid is handling like a champ.
Yes.
Right.
But then you got other considerations, leads.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How big of a blow up do we have to deal with? And
that's one of the things I think, like, I'm a senior this year, and we have a lot of, like, we have freshmen on the team, sophomores, juniors, and I guess me and my other fellow senior, who's my horn captain, I try to, like, tell the kids, the younger people on the team, I'm like, you know, some days you just have that ride, and that's just what you drew. And it didn't go well, but you did the best you could, and the ribbons, you know, might not reflect what you want it to reflect, but at the end of the day, you have to be proud of what you've accomplished.
Yeah, I think the NCAA, to me, again, I'm not the one doing it, but the NCAA system seems to be more fair to me, because it's horse against horse, rider against rider. But what you guys are saying, I think is fair too, is that, hey, this is teaching us a skill set. We just have to jump on, adapt, and that feel factor that we talk so much about is coming to the forefront more than anything. That you've got to figure out how to handle that.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they both got their advantages, but that's definitely a problem you got. Because I was watching last week, they just, everybody on, open the gate.
Yep. The hardest part for me about that is, like, not necessarily with the jumping, but with the flat is you don't get to, like, warm up your body really. And if you, like, tend to be, like, stiff, or it takes you a minute to, like, get into the right equitation and stuff like that. Like, I mean, especially at the cold shows.
Or the raining one that we had at UGA.
It was pouring down rain.
Pouring rain and cold.
And, you know, you just get on and it's like, go. And, you know, I feel like I'm still half asleep sometimes.
Yeah. It's also like the adjustability. Like, people ride differently. And so sometimes there's some people that, like, amp up these horses before you get on. So it's not even like, oh, I just need to be calm and whatever. Like, you just kind of need that minute to, like, oh, and, like, get them soft. But you can't.
Because they're feeling you out, too.
Exactly. But you can't. So you kind of, like, have to adapt so fast and, like keep everything together and, like, okay, we're going to be calm. Like, make sure to be clear with what I'm asking. So it's just, you have to think about every step, especially, like, who read them before and the weather and however.
But I mean, it's so rewarding when it goes well.
When it goes well.
When it goes well, right.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're the same way as a showman. I can't tell you how many times I've walked out of the pen and thought, holy moly, I just embarrassed myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then somebody hands me the video and I look at the video.
It's like,
oh, it's not bad.
Hey, that was pretty decent. Right? And then you want to win in the class or whatever. And you're like, oh my gosh, maybe I overreacted. Or I don't think it's overreaction. I think it's what you feel versus what's seen is probably very different.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, you're the one sitting on top of this thing, and he's giving you feedback, and you're giving him feedback, and then the judge is watching something else. So the more you can showmanship this thing through, probably better off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's, like, I think one of the biggest things is trying to mask everything, you know. Like, you don't want to fight with the horse, and you don't want to, like, you know, like, I can get things done, but I have to try to get them done quietly and, like, pretty.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one of the challenges I know I have trouble with sometimes. But
Probably a good life lesson there.
Yeah.
Right?
Less is more.
Right. We can bulldog our way through some things and mess it up. Here's the real question for you, because I think, what are you guys, probably 40-ish on the team? You're 40,
Well, on the English
35, 40?
On the English side, we have about 12 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we only, but for, I think if you count English and Western, probably around 40. But if you count the general members, we have up to like 100 now.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah, so explain that real quickly. We have two different groups. We have riding members and general members.
Yes.
And do you think most schools are structured that way, or is this unique to Mississippi State? Or, you know?
Well, I know a lot of other, of other schools, like at least schools that we've talked to and met, like are based out of other barns or like not really based on campus. So I can see where that would probably not really allow for like a general membership. I don't think that most schools have it to the extent that we do.
Yeah.
Like with the amount. But like I know we talked, I won't name the school, but we talked to a couple members of another school who said that they have to pay for all their lessons and they have to pay their coaches.
Yeah.
And our coaches work strictly on a volunteer basis, and which is
really
wonderful.
Nice.
So
them.
I think that partly allows for us to have such a, what's the word that I'm looking for here?
A robust team.
Yes,
yeah.
is that we can, and I think there is a small fee, like just so you can get a T-shirt and cover the insurance side of the general membership, but it really is like a volunteer-based club, and people do it because they love the horses.
So what's the basic difference between the general members and riding members?
Well, competing members, we get to practice on the horses, and then we go to shows. But general members, they have like our horse care job that we have too. They get assigned a horse, and they can come out as little or as much as they want. They just love on the horses, groom them. They're kind of in charge of making sure that the horse has all of the basic needs, and it needs like brush its tail so it doesn't get matted, get off the little bug,
Burrs, botfly eggs.
Botfly eggs, those are a pain. And get all the botfly eggs off. So just like keeping them in shape and
it's a
looking
good
over them.
opportunity for them to get off campus and
Come see the horses.
get a little stress relief.
I mean,
maybe.
even like just being on the team, I told myself that's how I stay in shape, and
Yeah.
that's how like I just love being around horses. I think I go insane. I'm like, I just need to touch a horse. Like, it's so nice to have that chance just to come out. Like when I go out to take care of Rainbow, my care horse, I usually go out on like Mondays, like in the afternoon when the sunset's going down and the wind's blowing. So it's just like it just kind of calms your nerves out after a long day. So it's definitely nice to have that.
And one thing I think we have that's unique to Mississippi State is I personally love we're basically on campus, a couple miles maybe from main campus, but at the same time it's secluded.
Yes.
So you can find some solace in being at the barn and
Be in the nature.
yeah, and South Farm's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Is.
Very
Very
beautiful.
is. Yeah, 'cause
Horses are all happy and
running
on
around
good
the
grass.
fields. Yeah. Because I looked at other schools before coming here. And to be honest, this is kind of the horse team was the main reason why, or the equestrian team is why I chose Mississippi State. Because I looked at other schools and barns were like an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours
Yeah.
away. And I just can't imagine like it being 5 minutes from campus makes a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and if
It
you're
really
like at
does.
TCU or SMU, you're trying to fight downtown Dallas.
Oh,
Fort
yeah.
Worth
Gosh, I
traffic
can't
and-
imagine.
Yeah, tough. You know, one thing I've noticed going out and helping you guys warm up horses for the events and stuff and being around is not for the English side. I'm not warming up English horses. I'm not doing that. But
You could.
Yeah.
I could. It wouldn't be pretty or comfortable. But one thing I love about what you guys got going on is probably a reflection of Ashley. Is whether you're a general member or a riding member, everybody treats everybody the same way.
Oh, yeah.
And you know how quick that title, I'm a riding member, could get
Get to your head.
separation.
Yeah.
And I was really worried about that when Ashley submitted this idea and we talked about how we're going to do this. It's like, man, I just don't know how that's going to go. It's a great thing, but I thought riding kids are going to look down on and expect something from
Yeah.
the general members, and I have not seen that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you know, I can only speak for myself, but to me, you know, there's one thing that we're all there for, and it's the horses. And, you know, horses don't care if you're rich, if you're poor, whatever you got going on with you, they don't care. So, you know, a horse looks at me and it sees the same as it sees somebody that's never even touched a horse before. And I think that that's a really important part of the team is that, you know, we all respect each other, like general member, riding member, anything, because we all love horses and we all want to be there because of the horses.
Right.
And-
I think it'd probably be argued, you could argue that the general member might be more important.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they do so much.
We say this every home meet that we have, every meet that we have. General members are the backbone of our team, and we could not function without them. They help us. Like we have, you know, we do charity fundraising for the team to help pay for it because you know we don't. It's a free
Donation.
type team and not funded really by the school. It's mainly funded by fundraising, and so the general members make a huge difference in the fundraising part. And then just having that extra manpower, like to put on, like we hosted semifinals for IHSA maybe 2 years ago, and it was a huge deal. Like they only have maybe one or two or three in the whole nation. So we had teams from all over the country.
That's what we did in Verona, wasn't it?
Yes, and without the general members, we could not have put it on because we just wouldn't have the numbers. And you know, like the general members, they're not doing it. They don't have any sort of ulterior motive. They don't have the, oh well, I'm going to go be on the equestrian team and I'm going to ride and win ribbons. They just want to be there for the
Just to
horses,
help. Yeah.
to be helpful and be there for the horses. And I don't think it gets any better than that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I love that you said, you know, the center point's the horse.
Yeah.
I think some of the heart of those kids though are just being servants to people and horses.
for sure.
Because I've seen them. They're untacking and making sure you guys got what you need, and you know, taking care of the horses if they're too sweaty and pulling saddles, and they're just part of it, which I think is
yeah.
fantastic. It serves a great purpose. Here's the question I really need to know though, is from again what I've seen. You guys are the ones living it, not me. You got, let's just say, we'll say 40 members for just easy math here. I can think off the top of my head 2 guys.
Well, actually, only one.
There's only one now.
graduated.
Oh, did Chris graduate?
Oh, Chris is it? Yeah, Chris. We
Chris.
actually have maybe
general member.
4 or 5 general member
Yeah.
guys.
Okay,
guys.
all right. So you got one
But
riding
competing
member.
One
Number
riding
one.
member. We
Okay.
tried to get him
Yes.
to do both English and Western, but he
But we
wouldn't go
couldn't
for that.
get him to go for it.
So how is that dynamic with, what'd you say again, easy math? We got 38, 39 girls and 1 boy. Is it pretty chilled out there? Is it,
We're all
Yeah.
like we're just like a big family.
We're a big family.
I would say, like, you know.
Zion's the troubled child, but we love him.
he's
He's
the
an
problem,
antioch,
isn't
but-
he? He's definitely the problem.
No, I think, you know, it's honestly, I'm sure it might be worse for him than it is for any of us.
He's a true
because
fan.
He's the
I think he
outnumbered
enjoys
one.
it more
He
than,
loves it.
than you guys know.
But it is funny, you know, like we always, especially when Zach was on the team with us last
We
year, he just
love
graduated.
Zach.
You know,
Yeah.
every show we're like, oh, we're gonna put your lipstick on.
Yes.
And Zach don't care.
No,
No,
and
he just laughed.
we actually, so we were cheering for him at a horse show, and the judge was like, "Why were you guys cheering for that guy? Like, what's up with him? Is he like?"
Is he special?
Is he
Or-
special?
No, or they thought he was like deaf.
They thought he was deaf. They were like, "Why did you cheer?" So we were like, "We just
We
wanted to
love him.
hype him up because he's the
Yeah.
only guy on the team."
Yeah.
And no matter if it's raining or sunshine, Zach's the same guy.
Exactly.
We that's, I mean, even going back to what you said earlier, like our aspect of our team definitely is run by our coaches, and they make sure that we all have really good attitudes.
Oh,
and so even at tryouts, we try to talk to people that are trying to, like, oh, are they really nice? Are they helping us afterwards? Are they helping us beforehand? So attitude definitely goes into it. And so I feel like how we are as a team, like, yeah, there's one guy, but we're always like, Zion, like,
Yay, go
he's
Zion.
crazy. And we're like, Zach, go Zach. Like, we really do love each other. We really do support each other. It's not about the roads. It's just us being together
Yeah.
and riding the best we can. And so even if Zion's the only guy, we love
Yeah.
him.
Well, I think that's a very important aspect of all this that you're talking about, because I don't care what the team is. You must have the desire to win because you have to prepare.
Yes.
Okay? It doesn't mean you will, but you have to prepare,
Desire for
right?
it.
So the preparation has to be there. But really, what it comes back to is you're going to remember Kate was
People
your
you
buddy.
were.
Yes.
You know, you're going to remember
Yes.
that, and therefore, those are the things that we're really talking about. You remember the horses you rode, the good rides you had, but whoever wins the national title, it's great,
Yeah.
but that's really not the
It's not what it's about.
purpose in the forefront, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely important to see. When Ashley and I started this whole thing, I know for a fact, 'cause I've known her for 25 years, that part was important to her. And they used to tell us, like, I walk through the barn, and if they don't know me and they don't say something, we're going to fix that, because
Yeah.
this has got to be a learning process. This needs to be a place where everybody goes and feels like we're all family, friends, and having a good time, because like you said,
Definitely.
we're all there for the same thing.
Yeah.
But the other thing is teaching is when we have potential customers walking the
Oh,
barn,
yeah.
you girls are out there, you need to be making sure that you make them feel welcome.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
know what I mean? So we try to kind of treat it like a business too, and
Yes.
making sure
I
everybody's welcome.
would agree 100%. I know from the team, like growing up, I only ever did riding, so I wasn't super like social outside of that, and I wasn't very confident. But since coming on the team, you know, especially like becoming an upperclassman and getting to kind of like mentor some of the younger classmen and all that sort of stuff, I feel like I've gotten a lot more confident, and like I've really stepped out of my shell with the team, and I don't know where I would be if I wasn't a part of the
I
team.
noticed at the last event we had, 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
2 Fridays ago maybe, I told Ash, I was like, man, this is getting better and better and better. It's like everybody seems to be working for the same cause, and that's great. What do you think, just how would you explain, maybe to someone coming into the team, or maybe they're in high school now, or they want to be on the team someday? I hear this too from, because our animal and dairy science department, if you're ADS, a lot of you are not, but if you're ADS, you're like 80% of our population, which is about a little over 500 students, so roughly 400 are pre-vet. So a lot of times they think, I don't have time, I've got to study, I've got to make good grades, I've got to do all this stuff. So what would you do, how would you encourage them to figure out a way or a method to balance something like equestrian team and the academic side? You got to do both.
Yeah.
Well, I know I like to bring up the smartest person I have ever met. Her name's Olivia Cresswell. She had a golden cowbell 4.0 her all 4 years. She's a second-year vet school student right now, and she did the team. And for what I learned from her is that when you get in, you get out what you put in. So, you know, maybe because I have to balance school and riding, I don't go to as many parties, or I don't go out on the town and do all that sort of thing. But, you know, I think that the trade-off is worth it. and the coaches are super understanding and accommodating, and they will try to help you like any way they can. I know many times, less so for academic reasons, but traveling for horse shows and stuff, they'll meet me at the crack of dawn and come do a private lesson on a week where I have to go out of town, or they'll let me do a double practice one day where I have to ride one horse in one practice and a different one the next one, just to be able to make my schedule work. And I think, I've always been a firm believer in, if you want to do it and make it happen. So that's kind of how I feel about it. It might lead to some late night studyings and van rides full of flashcards, but I think it all ends up being, as long as you're set and you're motivated, then there's not really anything that can stand in your way.
Yeah, I definitely think it takes some sacrifice. It's just like all in your mindset of, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to make it work. Because there have been plenty of nights where I was stressed because I was out later at the barn than I wanted to be, or I have to cram in going out a couple times a week because my horse that I'm taking care of is injured. But at the end of the day, like, if that's what you're choosing to do, you have to make the time. What I like to do is I like to write out my schedule for the week. So I'm like, okay, I know that I'm going out this day and then to the barn that day. And at this time to this time, I'm studying. And you do have to make sacrifices. I'm not going to go to the game this weekend, or I'm not going to go out at this time, hang out with my friends at this time. But you do just have to find a balance of your social life, your school life, and your horse life. Because if you don't, it can very easily be too much. But you just have to learn how to manage your time well.
Yes.
And you do have to make some sacrifices of what's more important. But it is possible if you're in the right mindset that this is what you want to do.
I've always wondered, I actually have a theory behind a hypothesis, I would say. I think students, I wonder if students in your position, if we could somehow measure their grades or academic performance before being on a team compared to while they're being on a team, and if you were here a semester or two after you were off the team.
Yeah.
My theory is I actually think students are probably better when they're competing.
I would say so.
I would definitely
Because
agree
of
with
what
that.
you just said. You don't have time to
You have to be proactive.
procrastinate.
Yeah.
You gotta get on it and work at it. And
Well, I know at the end of that, we hold the banquet at the end of the year for the equestrian team. We just started doing that maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And they give out awards for certain GPAs. And I mean, like, we had 20, 30, like all A's, 4.0 GPAs. And I know, I don't want to brag, but I've been on the dean's list my whole time I've been at Mississippi
sounds a
State.
little braggy.
Just a little bit.
Just a
little.
Just to say, like, and I know there's so many smart and, like, such hardworking people on the team. And, I feel like they inspire me to work harder. And, and it's always been like, we share notes, we study together. Like, we were at the library earlier today studying together.
Awesome.
And I think we push each other and, like, oh, well, don't you have that test in this? Well, maybe you should study. Like, I'll help you. And I think that, like, kind of helps a little bit with it.
And kind of in a factor, like, you have to do well. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't the reason you have to do well in order to compete. So it's kind of
Yes.
like you have to raise the bar a little bit and be like, I have to stay on top of it. But also, like, I've always grown up doing sports at the same time as doing school. So it's just kind of something I've gotten used to of, like, you got to keep moving, like, you got to keep going, you've got to make time. And I love that feeling of, like, okay, you don't have time to procrastinate. You
just
have
gotta
to
get
do
it
your
done.
work. You just got to get it done. So it's kind of nice being pushed a little bit. Like, doing this sport makes you feel pushed to keep going and do well in academics.
you
too.
neither are animal and dairy science majors, aren't you?
I'm a biology major.
I'm ADS vet
Are
tech.
you? Okay, vet tech. I knew that. I just can't remember. But there's what percentage do you think of the team is ADS students?
Ooh, a large
There's
percent.
a good bit because we were going through the statistics with Justin.
Most
Most of them are.
Most of the people on the team,
Are
especially
ADS.
on the western side of the team, are
It's a good
ADS.
Yeah.
point. It's a good thing to point out, though, as anybody's listening. You do not have to be an animal and dairy
Oh,
science
no.
major. You can
We
be
had-
anything you want to be, still be
Yeah.
on the team.
We had a geology major on
Yeah.
the team a couple years ago. And that was always fun to hear
And you know
about.
what's interesting when I
Business
do these NCAA shows, they always send out someone. So I'm sitting out there judging, and they send two scribes, one from each school. They send out 2 more kids. I'm not sure what they do. There's like 5 because there's another one that's video and everything.
Oh.
So when they're doing the drag and doing the warm ups and stuff, I'll chat with them and I'll ask them what their majors are, where they're from. None of them are ever animal science majors, hardly ever. And none of them are ever from the state that they're riding for. They're all seem to be out of state, which is odd. Which IHSA, our team anyway, is a little different. We're typically most Mississippi.
Well, I feel like my freshman year, I was one of the only people from Mississippi on the team.
Okay.
My roommate, who's the other senior on the team, she's from Canada.
Abby.
You know Abby, yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's so interesting to me is how we can have so many people from so many different places and still come together as one.
Because it really doesn't matter what major you are. If you ride horses well and you do your part and work hard, then that's it. But it is interesting that I feel like there are more animal dairy science majors than not.
But I think also like that's just I feel like our school
That's just our
has
school.
a better
Yeah.
emphasis on
Very big department, yeah.
What do you think? Do you think there's any misconceptions about being on the team, or from trying to balance from a student aspect, or this is what I thought it was going to be but it wasn't, or anything like that?
I know that with it being a club sport, like a lot of people don't think it's very serious, and they, it's just like, just go hang
Just in the
out
club,
with
you
my
ride
team.
horses.
Yeah, but I don't
Pay your
think
dues and put it on your CV.
I don't think people really understand like how much work goes into it, and one misconception is people never really. They're like, oh, we have an equestrian team. I didn't know we had an equestrian team. But our team has gained a lot of traction in the past. I've only been here 4 years, but I know my freshman year was the first time the English team had ever had a full set, like a full team, through all the different divisions. So that was really cool. And then in the past 4 years, we've had our first high point team.
We got 2 in 1 year.
Yeah, we had 2, like our first top 2 finishes, top 1 finish for the English team, and all those sort of milestones that we've hit. And it's just so cool to see how much the team has grown, especially with like general member numbers. And I think it's getting more popular and more people are learning about it. And so I think, some people, there's a stigma around like horse girls. And I think with us doing better in competition and kind of becoming more popular with all of that, it's starting to kind of erase that, like, oh, well, only weird people go and join the horse team. Like that kind of thing that I think people might think about the team. But we have all sorts of people on the team.
Yeah.
Like we have sorority girls, like Pam. We have,
but I'm not a sorority girl, though.
That's the stigma she's trying to get rid of.
We have, like,
That's the real stigma. We need to do a whole
real thing that we need to
podcast on.
address.
Yes. And we have, like, people that have been riding for years, and that's with all the different divisions. Like, if you thought, I'm kind of rambling, but here's another misconception is that you have to have horse experience, and you don't. Like, we have a walk trot division, and it pretty much is required that you don't have horse experience to be a part of that division. And so, like, I know one of the members that just recently graduated, and she's actually in vet school at LSU right now. Her name's Ashley Heron, and she
I was actually, she was in my head when you said that.
That's what
I
you were thinking
immediately
about?
went to Ashley because
That's so funny.
I judged a scrimmage for Hannah and Ashley when she first started.
Yep.
And she knows this, so I'm not talking about it. I told her this because it was important for me to tell her this. She rode, and I told Hannah, I was like, Hannah, what are you doing? This kid can't ride. Like, this
I
is
know.
not, it was beyond bad. And I say that sounds horrible. I say that for a reason. That girl stuck it out, learned, and got really good in a short period of time. And here's the part I'm most proud of, Ashley. I hope she's listening. The most proud I am of her is because doing that opened her up to a lot of scrutiny, criticism. I didn't give it directly to her, but I'm judging. That was my job that day, so I'm judging. But other people are also going to watch from the fence, critique and judge and criticize. Maybe behind her back, she just kept on plugging.
Oh yeah.
And she was great. When
She went all the way to zones, which is like pretty, like, I think one of the only riders, probably out of a handful of on the English team that have ever made it to zones. And she was one of them. And I personally, like, I love Ashley, and I think she's really great. But just to, like, see her passion, like, having come into it not knowing anything about horses. And, like, I remember I drove her home from one of the Barry shows, which is like a 4 or 5 hour drive, and she just rattled off question after question about horses, and I just answered them the best that I could. And I mean, it was an awesome drive, and just to see, like, somebody, it's never too late to learn.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a hard thing to jump over, and sometimes you want to do something, but the intimidation factor is there, and it kind of suppresses you, and you coulda, woulda, shoulda kind of it when you get older, but she don't have that. She just jumped in there and did it. So I hope she's listening and knows how. I'm sure you two are proud as heck of her. I am too. I think she did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Represented us well, great attitude, and learned a lot. So she did well.
So
now she's in vet school.
Now she's in vet school at LSU.
Good
We
for
miss
her.
her, but but it's just, that's one of the things, is you don't have to know anything. We'll teach you.
Yeah.
I know I, for one, and I'm sure lots of other people on the team, I'm always happy to share the passion and share the.
Want questions?
Yeah,
and-
I'm like, I'll talk about it forever.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you want to know.
That's good because it's going to be passed down that way, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any other ideas on misconceptions, or is she pretty much?
I mean,
said what
that's
you
definitely a big portion. I think we kind of hit on one of the misconceptions, is that because we are club, and I just say we're not as good of riders as some NCEA riders, but sometimes I just don't think that's the case. I think, or like, we don't have as much work, but a lot of the time we have more work because we have to do everything, because it is all donations and we are a team. Like, we run the team, you know. Everyone's hands-on. We have to wake up at the crack of dawn to get things done before shows, and so it's kind of the idea that we might be club, but like, we definitely put in plenty of work, and we definitely have a lot of great riders. And even if you don't know anything, we still can send off people who learn a lot and become good riders. So just because we are club doesn't mean that we are not capable of riding well either. I feel like that's a misconception.
You bring up something else. Leads me to my next question, and it's two part. Give us the idea. Maybe we'll just say, Pam, you answer one side, Kate the other side. We'll start with you, Pam. I want to know what the day-to-day grind is like, what the average day is for a student athlete like yourselves. One, Pam, on a day-to-day, just a regular day basis. Two, Kate, on a performance day. She just mentioned you guys are up, depending on what time the show starts, there's a lot to do. So can you give us just a quick perspective of that from a Tuesday afternoon in Starkville, Mississippi? What are you doing?
On a Tuesday afternoon, well, for this semester, I have 3 classes. So I start off at my 8 a.m., and then I have a break between that and lunch till my 12:30. But during that time, I do a lot of homework because I have practice at the end of the day. So I went to the library early today, worked on some homework, studied, and then I had 2 back-to-back classes. I had ethics. I had an ethics test today, and then I have survey chemistry. And at 3:15, I go straight to my room. I change for horseback riding, I get a snack, go straight out to the unit. I always get there an hour before practice, so because you have to walk out to get your horse, clean it off, get ready before, and set jumps out. So we definitely have to get there early, and then we have like an hour practice typically, and then, which it kind of varies. We do a lot of jumping, practicing for us, the higher levels. We do a lot of jumping practices, and then after that, we are in charge of putting everything away, making sure the unit's clean. We have to blow out the unit, spray everything off, spray off our horses, walk them out, and then I'm usually there later too because I work on my care horse while I'm out there. So I'm usually at the unit from 4 till 7. So I'm really there for 3 hours plus. And then after that, I go home and clean off, and I do homework again for 2 hours usually, and then try to go to bed early. But
Got the run.
oh, Tuesday
Is she
runs.
skipping the runs?
No,
She's
I never
skipping-
skip the run. Oh, listen, we have a Friday
6 a.m.
Friday
Sound like she
6
skipped the
a.m.
run.
We have a Friday
Well, she did start
6
at
a.m.
8.
run.
Well, the run is at
The run is at 8
p.m.
p.m.
Oh, dang. After
Yes,
all that, then you're
after
running.
that.
Well,
yeah, see, that's the thing on Tuesdays.
yeah.
I
And
have
what
to give
people don't
Tuesdays
know,
to
which
run.
you said, I don't want to skip this part, because of the beautiful facility that we have as far as being on South Farm, all our horses are housed out, most of them are housed outside. So you might have a good half mile,
Oh, yeah.
3/4 mile walk to get your
Yes.
horse if he's at the gate.
uphill both ways.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got a walking
There
back.
and back.
Right.
And at the
right.
end, there and back.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's surprising. When Ashley started the system, I told her, I was like, man, I don't think them kids are going to do that. They're not going to walk that far.
There was some moaning and
Been
groaning,
years.
but
Been years of walking back and forth.
It's nice when you get a barn horse.
yes, or one that's in the closest
pasture. But it's one of those things with like, oh well, I guess I gotta go and get the horse. We
Gotta
had
do
one
it.
horse my freshman year that wouldn't walk. You had to back her from the farthest pasture. You had to back her all the way up to the barn because she wouldn't walk forward.
Yeah, but that's just one day. But definitely throughout the week, you have to manage. Okay, I have to go to the Sanderson today at this time to get my class checked off, and then like you have to plan accordingly. I have to be there an hour before, an hour after with practice, and I have to do the 8 p.m. run afterwards. Sometimes the 6 a.m. run on Friday mornings.
And how long is this run?
It depends how fast you run,
It's a
but
mile.
usually it's a mile.
A mile.
Usually,
So you can
I'm not
bang
gonna
it
say
out
my
in
time,
6
but
minutes?
yeah, 7 minutes.
Yeah,
Good.
Pam probably
tops.
could.
It depends. But
We want to ask how long
we want to
my
ask the
mile is.
time, but it's a mile.
If Justin's asking, I run a 12-minute mile. It's not even good.
But I will say real quick though, it's funny. One of the schools that we're at, there is a paved road. Like you can see the pathway, and there's like 3 pastures. It's not far at all, and they're like, we have to walk so far to get our
Oh my
horses.
God.
I'm
It's like,
we have to go down the wrong gravel road at the very end of the horseshoe drive all the way back up. So it's a lot of
Yeah,
grit.
anytime that's actually how I met Pam, is because I was leaving the horse unit
He drove
and I saw her
me.
walking out the driveway, and I'm going that way anyway. So I said, "Hey, I'll give you a ride halfway."
I was so grateful. I
want
was so
some
grateful.
It was destiny because now you've been involved in 2 projects.
A lot of things, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
What about game days?
So they can vary depending on if it's a home show or if we're away for a show. But I'll give you like the most busy version so that it
Sounds
better.
good. Yeah.
So we just recently actually started hosting our home shows at the horse unit before we were renting out the Mississippi Horse Park, which is about like 2 miles down,
Right
the,
down
road.
the road.
But usually what we have to do, English shows go a lot longer than Western shows because typically Western shows have about 4 or 5 teams, and English shows we have up to like 18
Yeah.
sometimes, as many as that. So there's a lot more rides, which is partly why the English team is smaller because we can only have so many rides per show.
Yeah.
So what we do, I'll give an English team version, is we have to get there early, and we usually will help the interns or student workers at the horse unit, like feed, do stalls.
Usually they're at 5:30 or 6.
Get all the morning chores done, just so things run smoother. We bring up the horses that are out in the pastures. We'll start cleaning them up, and usually we'll have like a 7 o'clock schooling break for the first schooling break. So then non-competing members, or like we have some junior varsity members, JV members, that will show their next couple years, but the first year they're just practicing and getting used to the team and getting some experience under their belt. But they are able to help warm up horses, and the coaches warm up, and usually we have other teams bring horses in, so those horses will have to get warmed up, and we watch them school. We didn't used to, but now we get to know what our horse's draw is, like what our draw is before they warm up. So that's nice because you get to really hone in on your horse and watch how they warm up. And, I try to analyze everything I can, like from stride to temperament to like, oh, maybe he's got a right drift, and learn what you can about your horse. And then we typically start classes maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Start with the open classes, and then we just make our way down. There's several other schooling breaks, and when we're hosting a show, we're trying to wrangle getting all of our horses ready and holding our horses, and that's where the general members are so
helpful.
Vital.
Yes.
Is that they will help us because we're trying to show, and we're trying to get clean and get into that mindset of, I know I have trouble keeping clean, but get into the mindset of like, okay, I'm showing now, especially if you show later in the day. You don't want to use all your energy tacking up and untacking and do it when you do have to. But it's so good to have help so that we're not running around all day and just barely getting to go and stay for a second to be able to show. We are able to take a breath, get on the horse, show, and then once you're done showing, you put on a sweatshirt and you go and you
Right back
get
to
your
work.
hands dirty. And we hold horses all day, and we'll try to pick out their feet, make sure they're not getting uncomfortable, and we switch horses out. trying to keep the facility clean. I know at the Western shows, and sometimes after I'm done showing, I help run the in-gate with Miss Erica Carroll. And so that's another task in itself. But then after the showing is all done, which is usually around 3 or maybe even 4,
Sometimes 4.
then we have to put everything away, get all the horses taken care of, do afternoon chores, and then usually we have a team meeting just to kind of like boost morale and talk for a little while.
Reflect.
And then if it's a 2-day show, we go home and we wake up
Do the
the
exact
same
same
time
thing.
and we do it all again.
And what's crazy about all this, you're 20, you can do all that, but Ashley, she's done it year after year after year for numbers of years, and
She's the best.
She really is.
she's good at it.
We try our very best to make it like easiest that we can for the coaches.
Yeah.
You know, like we're usually on tag team to like make sure Coach Glenn drink some water.
Yeah.
And eat
Anna
some
has
food.
to eat. Yeah.
She has to eat. Have you
to
sat
sit for a
down
second.
today?
That's good.
So we
That's
kind of
good.
tag team on that.
We also help as much as possible. Like the work is not done until the show is
Till the
over.
show is over.
That's like we get assigned a horse usually to hold. You go put that horse up, you clean it off, you're right back out.
Yeah.
You're like,
Maybe
okay,
you have another horse to hold.
maybe I can give someone relief to
Yes.
hold another horse. So you just keep going until it's over because it's just 1 or 2 days. You just have to put everything into it
And that's
just to
why
make
it's
it run smoothly.
really like, you know, you talk about it all you want, but like so wonderful that the coaches do that for us.
Yeah.
Out of the goodness of their hearts. And that's all.
Well, then to top all that off, let's talk about funding quickly. So
Okay.
how's
Yeah.
the team funded, and what was the expectation of an incoming member as far as how do we pay for shows, how do we travel, how do we do all that? Is there courses involved? Do I sign up for a course? What do I do?
So within the past couple of years since I joined the team has become a class within the university called Advanced Horsemanship. When I started, it was just a club sport and we had to pay dues like, you know, regular clubs have to pay dues. But I think through making the course, like making the team into a class, we were able to get some more university funding in terms of like insurance and things like that. So now you have a lab fee. This is only if you're a competing member. General members pay like a lower fee, and I think that's all
like
they have to pay.
$20, I think. It's like
And
one
so
fee.
They don't have any sort of like, I think you have to commit to helping with 2 fundraising events or sort of events as a general member and to take care of your care horse, and as long as you do that, you're set. But for the competing members, it's become a class called Advanced Horsemanship.
You get an hour.
Yeah,
2
you
credits.
get credit hours. It only counts towards your GPA, I think 2 semesters, but every semester it counts towards my hours. So it's 2 hours per semester, which is really great when you're trying to maintain a certain level of hours.
Yes.
And not overwork
scholarship.
yourself. Yes. And so I know that my scholarship covers, it's now what used to be our competing fee is now like a lab fee. So if you have any sort of scholarship, that can help pay for that, which I think it's around like 200, 250.
200 per semester.
Yes.
So
So that's really great to
That
have
goes
that
into
option
it.
now. But now that it's become a class, we get graded for it, which, you know, we shouldn't be not doing any of this stuff anyway.
Right, but sometimes,
But
you know.
so every workout is a grade, and every like practice attendance is a grade. Care horse is a grade, and so that's part of that helps fund some of this because we don't have to pay any. Like we pay for our
Yeah.
food when we travel, but hotels are taken care of. We travel in the university van, and like I know I drove my car once and they reimbursed me for gas, and
And that's not like that at every school.
no, it's definitely not. And so that's, I think the lab fees helped pay for that. But most of the funding comes from fundraising.
yeah.
And I know
Which
that
usually are team led. Like we
Yes.
run the fundraisers.
one that's coming up is a new kind of, it's not a new idea, just a new season for it, is the Holiday and Horses, which is we do something in the spring called Pancakes and Ponies,
Very
which is
big.
where we make pancakes for children and they get to come and ride on
Hundreds
ponies.
of
And
kids come out.
So
yes,
many
and that's
families come.
A great way to make some funding happen for the team, and I know that we love doing it so much we decided to do kind of a holiday version, and so that's what we're going to do. I think it's December 7th. Is that if that's the Saturday?
Yeah, the 7th.
And we're going to be doing that, and that'll help to raise a little bit of money. And then there's some other things that
We've
do.
also done benefit days. Like we did, we worked with District Nutrition, and the percentage of their proceeds went to the team. And then we also did one with Panda actually at the Union. And And that was kind of nice too, because we had to go take shifts and stand out there.
Hand out flyers.
And people are like, "What's equestrian? Like, do y'all swim?" I'm like, "No, like this is horseback riding." Like,
Where would it water and equestrian?
I was like aquatic, I don't know. Anyways, so but it was nice because we were getting those funds. We got like 20% from Panda Express, which was great. But also we were making people more aware. And so people are like, "Oh, that'd be cool." And then, it gets back to certain people and they're like, "Oh, I would love to donate to that." And I know even for my parents and even my barn back at home, when more people know about it, they're more willing to put money in a program that's growing. And so I definitely think that because we are attracting a lot more people, I know a lot of people that have been like, "Oh, I'd love to invest in y'all's program." So it's definitely getting our name out there. But it's team led. We like to work with other places in Starkville just to get money flowing in.
I know we also do a lot of like online kind of fundraising. Like an example would be like Pampered Chef, which was a fundraiser that we just recently did. I wish I could say more off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You got to hold down academics.
Exactly.
You got to figure out how to make funding work to some degree. Got to go to you got to run.
Yeah.
You got to do all these things.
Gotta
So
be fit.
it's quite a task.
I know when I was coming to college, my parents, like my dad, was very concerned that I wasn't going to get the full college experience, with all the riding and traveling and all of that. But I can honestly say, like, I have had more fun with the people on my team than I've had anywhere else.
That's
true. I mean, like, we go to practice, we go to workouts, we go to these shows and stuff, but, like, it's with the people that I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, and they make it fun. And it's really, like, it's such a great atmosphere that doesn't even feel like work. I'd like Saturdays from 5:30 a.m. to 8 o'clock at night, I'm just hanging out with my friends.
There you go. Here's our closing question. And you can take your time. You don't have to just pop off anything. You think about this, Pam.
Oh, me? Okay.
And both of you.
Okay.
I want to know, is there any one moment that you're going to look back in 20 years and think, hey, that was a really neat experience? Or is there like this thing that changed you as a person or matured you as a person, or any experience that you've had on the team that, well, you just said a really good example. You said, your dad was worried about you being out of the college scene to some degree, which is probably a really good thing.
Yeah.
Really
Truly.
But with that comes time invested in other aspects. So what has the team given to you, whether it's the horses, the coaches, the students, the experience, the department? What has it been that's been that defining moment for you that when you're done, you look back and go, that right there was all well worth it? Anything that comes to mind?
I know for me is UGA last year, because it kind of is going off of what you said just a second ago. That wasn't the best show for me, but I don't think about how bad the show was, because I also learned a lot as a rider to take constructive criticism, and I knew that how I rode didn't define who I was, but also it was something I could rise to the occasion of and have the grit and determination to push through the sport. But also I realized that this was worth it to me because of the team. Like, I was so bogged down. I was like, I wanted to do well. Like, I wanted to compete well. I wanted to get the good ribbons. But those 2 days were the most fun I had ever had with our team. Whether it was Olive Garden, which is a tradition, by the way, or like the late night we had at the hotel, or Coach Hannah, she does a very good job of balancing, okay, we need to work on this, but you did this well. And so I think that UGA show really pieced together that it's okay to have struggles and it's okay to get a little bogged down, but we have a team that'll lift you up. And it's also like, you've got to go through the bad to get to the good. And in horseback riding, everything fluctuates. So that show just kind of showed me that you just got to keep going. I don't know.
Now you said something that I like. I saw rephrase the question and give you another opportunity.
Okay.
Maybe it's a challenge. Maybe there was a challenge, and it sounds like that was a challenging moment for you to learn how to take criticism and things not going your way, but you made the positive. I love that answer. So maybe a good thing, or it could be a challenging thing.
Whew. Okay. Well, so the thing that, stands besides all of the great moments with my team, which is something I'll never take for granted, in 2023, 3, I had the privilege of representing our region and our zone at nationals. And to be on that kind of stage, I have never been before. And, you know, I've ridden all over the country and not on the super large level. Like, I never really competed very high or did very many really amazing things. But to be able to go and, you know, I was on TV and I got to like go and ride in the All-Tech arena, and it was just like, it kind of blew my mind, and it didn't go the way that I really wanted it to go. I got there and I was super nervous, and I just, you know, I didn't feel like I gave it my best, but, you know, to be able to have like that experience and come back, and, you know, no matter what, no matter how I rode, everybody was so like kind and nice and proud of me. Like, the first time I ever met Pam, when she came up to me and she said, "You're famous," and I was like,
"You're the girl that went to nationals." I was like, "Wow!"
And I think, you know,
So if they float your ego, you'd be friends with them.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's why we're friends.
Well,
I
and
know.
part of it is that I've always been like very insecure and, you know, not very secure in my riding ability, and to hear like so much like support and like to have that experience has really, like, I feel like I've found who I am, and I found confidence in my riding. Like, you know, even if I didn't ride my best, I still made it there. You know, I still got there, and I gotta hold that forever. And, you know, just being around all these people and, like, you know, getting to see them all excel and do all, and I mean, it's kind of, you know, I was pretty lost coming into college. I thought I knew what I wanted, but I didn't. And, you know, through the team and through the people on the team and, you know, outside experiences too, but just like, it's opened up a whole new world of horses for me, and it's really helped solidify like what I want to do with my life. And I think I owe a lot of that to the team. So
Fantastic. I want y'all to do me a favor and make sure your parents listen to this, because I got a message for them too, because I think, I could be wrong, I think I'm a decent judge of character, and I thought you two were probably superstars before, but after listening to you talk today, I think your parents did a phenomenal job of, when you say you're insecure about your riding, I'm shocked at that, because you're both extremely confident, very well spoken, and that's kind of a rarity sometimes. Today, people have got their headphones in and they don't want to talk to other people, but you young ladies put your game faces on, you talk people, you look them in the eye. That's probably a reflection of good parenting, so kudos to your mom and dads. But you guys did a great job with this. Also, Hannah, we didn't mention Hannah a whole bunch, but Hannah Gallagher is one of our coaches. Justin, obviously.
We love our coaches.
Hannah's never going to graduate, so she'll be
Yeah,
around.
she'll be here forever.
So she'll just be stuck here.
You're not
Texas.
stuck. She's just
You're right.
She's just
choosing.
here.
She's
She's just
choosing
here.
to be here forever. I keep telling her, you need to graduate, Hannah. And she's like, nah. But I appreciate you guys doing this, because it gives great perspective. Hopefully there's somebody out there listening that, well, I hope everybody's entertained, but maybe there's some young ladies out there that are listening thinking, I don't know if I can do that or not. You can probably encourage them to do it. So, great job. Thanks for doing this for me.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Dr. Cavender.
That was a lot of fun.
Appreciate it. Yeah.